Hi there and welcome back to the M5Stack official channel. This week we have some good news for you. For all of those that want to develop Micropython offline, we've developed an awesome plugin for Visual Studio Code. We're going to need the usual things that are required for running ESP32 on your computer. We'll need the driver from Silicon Labs. We're going to need VSCode to install the plugin. Now, depending on what operating system you're running on, there'll be a different install method for the driver. If you're running on the very latest version of the macOS Mojave, you may have to make sure that it allows you to install the driver. For Windows and Linux, it's usually pretty straightforward, but you can always check our docs for finding out if there's any particular issues related to your system. First things first, we're going to need an M5Stack Micropython firmware on our device. Methods for flashing the firmware to your device vary from system to system. You can either use the M5 burner, or you can use the ESP tool Python library. Make sure to check our docs on how to do it for your particular system. It's worth noting that UIFlow version 1.2.3 and the new versions from 1.3 onwards use a completely different fork of the Micropython firmware. Therefore, if you have some Micropython projects that you developed with the previous firmwares, 1.2.3 and below, they're likely incompatible with version 1.3 and above. After flashing the Micropython firmware, we'll need to put the device into USB mode. Once we've done all that and made sure that VSCode is installed on our computer, we can get started. So once we're in Visual Studio Code, we need to import M5Stack, and then you'll see we have VSCode, M5Stack, MPY. It'll take a few seconds to install, and then at the bottom will appear Add M5Stack. Now, if you have your M5Stack plugged in, you'll be able to directly connect. Now we can start to explore the device. We can preview the images in the M5Stack's file system. We can also directly run any Python scripts we find there or that we add ourselves. We can do this by pressing the play button in the top right hand side. We can edit the config.json file to choose which Python script runs on start, and also change the SSID and password of the Wi-Fi network we want our device to connect to. Now, as I mentioned previously, this version of the M5Stack firmware is based on a different fork of Micropython. We're using version 1.10. For the standard modules, you can go to the micropython.org documentation to see the API and some examples of how to use them. As for the M5Stack specific modules, the API is still a work in progress. You can view the M5Stack Micropython API in its current state on the wiki page of the M5Stack UIFlow code repository. If you'd like to have an explore yourself of what modules are available on the device, we can always open a serial communication. To open a terminal in VS Code, we press Ctrl and the tilde key. Then you can enter the name of whatever terminal program you use, followed by the COM port name and the baud rate. Once we've connected, it should be blank. We can press Ctrl-C to kill the current processes. Now you can see here that we're running on Micropython version 1.10, and it asks us to type help for more information. In terms of modules, we can type help and then enter modules within the quotation marks. Now we can see all of the Micropython modules and the M5Stack specific modules that are hosted on the flash system. On the UI Flow Code GitHub page, there's also a small guide on using the M5Stack VSCode plugin. Have a look at the guide and try to make some of your own M5Stack Micropython programs. If you get stuck, you can always leave us a comment or visit our forums and ask around there. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.